Hi, I'm Sean Dunn, and in this episode of Origin to Ambition, The Entrepreneur's Journey, I speak with Suzi Wright. She's the owner and founder of Dance Station Costumes. Previously, Suzi had been a dance studio proprietor herself, and in part founded Dance Station Costumes when she saw a gap in the marketplace that needed to be filled. She's got some really great learnings, some great stories to tell. I've known Suzi a very long time. We met through dancing ourselves in our teenage years, so I hope you'll enjoy the conversation, and I invite you to please listen on and enjoy this episode of Origin to Ambition. Welcome to Origin to Ambition, the show where we explore the small business entrepreneur's journey in business. I'm your host, Sean Dunn. Let's get into it. Hi, Suzi. Thanks for joining me today on Origin to Ambition. I really appreciate your time.
Hello, Sean Michael Dunn. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks very much. People will probably figure out fairly quickly that we've known each other for a very long time by the time we get talking. So look, Suzi, take us through, firstly, tell us a bit about the business, but I want to ask that in more detail later on. So just a little bit, tell us about the business, Dance Station Costumes, and tell us about the business, what it does, and then I'd like you to maybe take us back prior to that and sort of how it evolved and how you ended up, a bit about your background and how you got there.
Absolutely. Well, yes, my business is Dance Station Costumes. So I sell dance costumes to studios around the world. I've just started this year doing solo costumes as well, but it's basically been to studios in bulk. And about 15 years ago, I added in a little extra into the business by doing costume buying trips to the fabulous city of Bangkok. And that came about because I had my own dance studio. So now I'm answering that question. So in the background, I danced for many years since I was about 2 or 3 and until an adult. And then I traveled a lot. Do love a bit of a travel. And then I had my own dance school for 12 years. It was called Dance Station. And it was in Station Street, Fairfield. And it was a recreational school. We didn't do comps, but it was pretty good. By the time, sort of after a couple of years of setup and all of that, I had about 200 to 250 kids. So it was a good, studio. Yeah. But I've got 2 kids and being at the studio at night, it was just a nightmare. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to not work for a little bit. But it was
just for anyone listening who doesn't know, obviously dance studios predominantly operate after school hours and after hours. So it's not the norm to necessarily be there all day, every day during business hours. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You pick your kids up from school and go to the studio and I had a newborn baby at the time. So that was, it was a logistical nightmare. And I lost my love for it. I was all passionate and then I was feeling I was floundering a bit, which meant I wasn't giving the best to my students, and then I wasn't happy about that. So I had a girl who taught for me. She was fabulous, and she took it over. She said, I said to her, do you want to, take over and I'll just be out? And she was like, yeah. So she took it over. So that was great because my students got to keep their own, they had somebody that they knew.
Yeah.
Because I've stepped out. So, but when I had my studio, it was annoying me that there's no dance costumes, or at the time, it's better now, in Australia. They were expensive. And then I clued in that they were actually what you were buying in Australia wasn't being made in Australia. It was being made overseas and shipped in, and then you're paying Australian prices. So I went to Bangkok and I got a bit cluey and went, might just go to Bangkok. And I stumbled upon this area and the costumes were unbelievable. It was like Aladdin's cave for dance studio owners.
Yes.
And so I went in and I, bought all my studio's costumes for the concert. And then after that season, I got rid of my studio. So, and then I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I don't want to not do anything. I've always worked and I like working. I've always had a business. So it's like, what am I going to do? I mean, I still had a newborn-ish at a 1-year-old then, but you got to keep going. Got to keep going, Sean. What am I doing at home? Anyway, so So I started hiring dance costumes. I went back to Bangkok, said I'll get a few more costumes. And then I went, I reckon I could take studio owners to Bangkok to buy their own costumes. So I put an ad on Facebook on this dance teacher's troop costume page, and just said, got this trip coming up. It's this amount of money, airfare and accommodation included, 5-star hotel, buy all your concert and your costumes. And nobody knew me from a bar of soap at that stage.
Yeah.
And the next thing, and I had 6 people, 6 studio owners came on it, which I was like, that's incredible, because I could have been anyone or anything. And anyway, so they put their faith in me, and good on them. That group is still, I'm like, that really kicked it on for me. So I went with the 6 people, and look, to be fair, it was an average trip. I was just making it all out, but I charged them accordingly for their average trip. They had a good time. They got their costumes.
It was still value for money.
It was value for money. It was value for money. So it was all right. And some of them still use our suppliers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I advertised again, and look, word got around, and so now, this is the 15th year of doing Dance Station Bangkok costume buying trips, and they're still successful. I get lots of people on the trips, and it's fun, and it's, I love it. It's just, I love taking the studio owners. I love going back and seeing my suppliers in Bangkok, and and then when I'm at home, I sell these little these little numbers.
Yes.
So that's that.
So there's kind of there's an ongoing element to. So I think you've answered the question about how and why you started the business. You saw you really were solving a problem that you'd experienced yourself. So I know that you were still looking to be active and work and do something. So there was a personal motivator to keep doing something anyway.
Yeah.
And there was that element of, well, there's a problem that I can see. So surely I'm not the only person with the problem, which is, sourcing costumes.
Exactly.
Did you find that, so I think, you've answered that. And I guess there's 2 parts to your business, as you've alluded to. There's the travel buying trips, which don't happen every week, of course. They're sort of more. How often are you running those at the moment?
I did 1 this year. I did 3 last year. And so between 1 and 2, you basically 1 or 2 per year, but it's supply and demand. So, and what people need and when people need to go. And last year I was in Bali. Actually, it was this time last year. I was in Bali, and I was going to Bangkok for 4 nights just to catch up with the suppliers and do some background stuff. And I put out an ad on Facebook and on my website and on to my email list. And I said, anyone going to be in Bangkok between this date and this date? And if you want to do a 1-day trip, 1-day, costume buying, I'll be there. So anyway, I got 3 people, 2 who live in Bangkok and 1 who flew over from Singapore to meet me. And I took them, we just had a 1-day intensive. They met my suppliers. I took them around, they sourced, and they're still using the costumes, that this is a year later. So that was just that was the 3rd trip I did last year. And it was just a quick, right, I'm going to be there. Let's see if anyone else is going to be there who wants to source costumes.
Like to circle onto, just off what you've said there, and I'd like to circle onto your ability to send out a message effectively to your mailing list, so to speak, your social media audience.
Yeah.
You have you have a large audience. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the social media groups that I'm on, it's a Dance Teachers Network. There's 43,000 people, studio owners. You have to be you have to be within the dance world. So I'm not going on random social media things. They're all streamlined into dance. So that's one. So you've got a few of them that have got 10,000, 11,000, 12,000, 43,000, 38,000. So, I mean, I can put a post up on my Dance Station Costumes Facebook page and I can get 120 people have viewed the post. It's 120,000 people.
Yeah, yes.
120 is lame. No, 120,000 people.
Yes.
So I'm pretty happy with that for
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm prompting it, because I think anyone out there that's either thinking about or just started a small business or small business, but maybe feeling like they need some traction. I mean, clearly everyone knows this. Social media has obviously made it much easier to market a small business and gain reach.
Yeah.
But what do you think worked with your with your ability to generate an audience on social media? Like, what have you done that you think's helped with that? I think I know because I deliberately follow you, but for people listening.
Well, you've got to have charisma. That's a start. To run a good business, and a business like I'm running and you're running, is where you want people to get around you. You want people to believe in your product, or you've got a good product and you want to show people that you can market that product and that you believe in your product. And I do. You've got to there's two things, I think. You need to be warm and you need to be competent. And that instills charisma, and then people will vote for you. People will go, yeah, they know what they're doing. You flounder around, you mess around, and people go, I don't know what's going on there.
Do you think also, I mean, that's, some people will struggle with social media. It's not my natural environment. I know that.
Yeah.
So I know it took me quite a bit just to even get onto social media myself, because it's not my...
No, it's not.
Nature, really.
No.
So you can learn it. You can learn to do those things. Do you think, and I'm only homing in on this because of something you just said, but do you think that when you genuinely believe in your product or service, that helps?
Oh, most definitely. Otherwise, if I'm trying to sell you a packet of 2-minute noodles that I think are rubbish from the supermarket full of empty,
Anyway.
find them either. But they're rubbish. That's sort of thing. But I'm not selling 2-minute noodles. I've got a long history and background in dance, and getting back. So I know what I'm talking about. If I worked at the local chemist or whatever, and someone came in asking me about costumes, you go, oh, I don't know. Look, I don't know I don't know what you'd wear for a can or a modern or whatever. Whereas someone says to me, I'm doing It's Raining Men, and I can immediately set them up with a few costume options that is going to suit that routine.
Yeah.
So you've got to know your stuff. So I've got what people are paying for with me is knowledge. Basically, they're paying for knowledge, for passion, for one-on-one service. It's not a, it's not a
mass market. Yeah.
Not a mass market. It's one person it's my business, so I want it to go well. I'm not working for someone else and going, oh yeah, whatever, I might take the day off, or I don't take the day off. And but with social media, because I have the background in dance and performing arts, it's very easy for me to get on and make videos or market things or be silly or whatever, because that's what you learn when you're a performer. That's what you're doing. You're performing. So so I haven't found, TikTok and all. Oh God, like I opened a TikTok account a few weeks ago. It's terrible. I need to, when I've got time, I'm going to get onto the TikTok. I'm going to get, there's the younger generation to help me. So I tried a couple of things and I look like a lunatic, but so that didn't make the cutting room floor. They were all,
actually though, so this leads to another thing. So it's quite broad ranging. We've sort of gone on to marketing here, but So I think there's a couple of key elements, and I think this is important for business, and I'd like to still circle back to it. But
Yeah.
there's a number of themes you've hit on that are not uncommon with the people I speak to on this podcast, which is you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. And I think most, entrepreneurs are.
Yeah.
You do believe in what your product. So it's not just flogging something for the sake of $1. You actually believe in the product. And then, you're happy to get out there and get on social media and try TikTok and maybe look like a lunatic. But, that actually touches on something we talk about all the time with marketing, is that you've actually sometimes you just have to do it. And it's not about it being perfect and being ideal. It's about actually just doing it. And, I believe there are some platforms that can be not as charitable to, people posting as some others. So without naming particular platforms, but I think there is a case of just get out there and do it and get your message out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
As long as they remember you, whether they remember you for being a deal on a video or they remember you for being sensational on a video, they still remember you.
Yeah.
You'll go, oh, remember that girl? She was crazy. She did that. She did a video where, and she did a song and dance and whatever, and flashed a costume. I go, yeah, that's good. Like, rather than, hello, my name's Susie. If you'd like to have a costume, they're really good value.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing from you. No one's going to buy from that person. From that person. That person's boring. Doesn't know what they're talking about.
Oh, gee. No, very good. Very good. Now, listen, let's go back to the start of Dance Station costumes. So what would you, if you were thinking about when you started off, now, not trying to be a loaded question, the reality is I find when I meet any new entrepreneurs, they often, they are passionate about what they do,
yeah,
not necessarily across what they should be doing in business. Is there anything that you would have changed when you started off or not, but or anything you'd look back at and say, yeah, you know what, if I went back and started again, maybe I would do this?
It's a very good question, Sean. And plenty of things, just about everything. I changed. Well, I'll give you a plug here. You're welcome. So when
this is not about me. This is
I know, but I'm telling you how you've helped me. So this has been, even in the last couple of years since you've been my financial advisor, it's, you've opened me up to, I was quite streamlined in my thinking and narrow in my thinking. And, people would come to me and say, oh, I just want to buy one costume. And I'd be like, no, you can't buy one costume. It's minimum order of 10. Because that's what my suppliers, they don't want to make one costume. They want to make 10 or more. And so I was sort of following their lead. And then, that's just how it was running. You woke me up. You said, start a budget line. Not everyone can afford $50 plus costumes. So I did that. That's been good. You said, open up, get some stock in Australia, because the shipping is, which every dance teacher in the entire world will tell you that shipping is horrendous, especially, I hate to say it, post-COVID, we blame everything on COVID, but the shipping is horrendous post-COVID. So it just makes, if you're spending $1,000 on costumes and then you have to spend another $400 on shipping, that's a whole other,
bit of costumes,
costumes, people can't afford that. And it's a hidden shock, it comes out, you get an invoice and, now I'm paying, $300 for shipping as well. Oh my God. So having costumes in Australia, I'm located in Melbourne, and you can, I can say, yep, you want a couple of them? Sure, I can pop them in the post this after, Savo. Cost you $20 for the post, $30. And so it's opened up a lot more. So in the beginning, I had absolutely no idea. I was a dance teacher who knew about costumes and knew about dancing. Yeah. I started hiring costumes, which was actually quite good because I got the costumes. I'd go to Bangkok. I'd source my own costumes to hire. So I'd read the play on what people were looking for. And then I'd buy the costumes in Bangkok, have them made, bring them and have them I had a little office showroom in our old house. And, and I did that. But again, it was very limited. And then people saying, oh, I want to buy, I don't want to hire. And a dance studio owner, fabulous dance studio owner, actually she's not anymore, but she was, her name's Jane. And she messaged me and she said, start selling, open up 2 offerings here. And I was like, yes, that's what. So that was early on that. So then I had the hire plus the sales.
Yes.
And,
but you wouldn't have the hiring was still a good proposition. I mean, that wasn't a mistake, was it? I mean, I'd say.
Definitely not a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. And for me at the time, again, I had young children. I had a mid-age child and a probably there, he was a toddler. So I had a full-time job being a mother, I've still got a full-time job being a mother. Do they ever move out? I've just said one just come in the door then.
Little kids, little problems, big kids, big problems.
Yeah. But beautiful problems. So I had 2 kids. I didn't have time. I couldn't spend 8 hours a day sitting at a desk completely, 24 hours a day. This is what I do. This is what I do. This is what I do. You're getting interrupted. You got to pick up from kinder. You got to pick up from school. You got to go to play dates, the supermarket.
Yeah.
The hire for me at the time was very good. It kept me motivated and working. It gave me a little bit of casho, which was, some income, which was nice. And that was it. As it went on, my kids got older, I got more time and I actually got a better business brain. My brain was very focused on being a dance studio owner and how that runs. That's very different from, dealing with running a different business. I mean, it's still a business, but it's a different business. So, it was it went through and through and through as I evolved as a business owner and talking to people, listening to people. I listened to people who, like your good self, like our dear friend Belinda, she's got good business sense. I'd ring her up and say, now I'm thinking of doing this or whatever, and she'd give me a little bit of a clue, say do that or do this or I wouldn't do that or, you talk to people. You've got to learn. Podcasts, listening, reading.
Yeah, so that's a great segue. But what I'll do is I'll summarise when you go back to the start. Would one of the themes be that in starting that you probably just didn't have quite as broad a vision as you could have had? In other words, in terms of just scanning the environment for opportunities, is that kind of?
Yeah, I didn't.
You could have done better, maybe.
Oh, I could have done better. I'm not beating myself up about that. I was a mum who had young kids, and I was just doing a little thing at home. My husband, he worked, full time in corporate. I didn't need the money. It was just to keep me doing stuff and remotely interested in life, Yeah.
And but as advice, sorry to jump in, but as advice to somebody setting up, you would say to them now, keep your mind open, look for
your research. Yeah. Yes. Especially so now my situation has changed and the money is, I need them, I don't of course we all need money, but,
generating an income.
I need to generate an income. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So,
that's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Before it was me fluffing around at home, whatever, if I made $200, isn't that cute? Now it's, I own a house, I've got 2 kids and I need to generate an income.
Yeah, spot on. So I want to circle back to, you just mentioned Belinda.
Yes.
And calling her up. And I ask every entrepreneur this about the value of advice, receiving advice. And I don't mean, you've alluded to the fact, obviously, that I'm your financial advisor and we talk about a lot of business things as well, but not even about trying to suggest what I do. just the value of having mentors, trusted friends who have got experience. That I think sometimes entrepreneurs feel that they need to know everything and do it on their own. And
Oh, no. That's very small-minded. That's silly. Yeah.
so what's the value to you that you've, received?
The best value is listening to and talking to my customers, the dance studio owners. They're who you learn from. You learn what they're wanting, how much they want to pay. I can see a post on Facebook on the Troops dance costumes page where I get a lot of work from.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to work out what that studio, just by looking at the post, I'll go, right, their budget, they're only going to pay $30, that lot. Or, oh yeah, I know that studio, they're high end. They'll want the top range. They'll want the big, high end performance range. They'll want to look stunning at their comps and on their on their concert and whatever.
Yeah.
And so it takes your time back because you're not trying to work out, oh, and I'll send you 600 costumes. Their price goes from 30 to 150. And they go, oh, God, no, we can't. And you've spent 2 hours getting all the costumes together and sending them all this thing. I was going, no, they're $30. What do you need? What do you need for $30? And send it all and that's it. Or, so it's the customers, listening to your customers and not being a know-all. Don't be a know-all. Learn all the time. Learn.
Yeah,
not just
that's
life. Life.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think most people I speak to that are entrepreneurs, doesn't mean we've always, as entrepreneurs, always been successful. That's not the point. It's about I think most people I speak to that are entrepreneurs are lifelong learners.
I hope so. Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah, so that's that constantly learning, I think, holds you in good stead. And really what you're alluding to there, talking to your customers, is you're doing market research all the time. You're not sort of just, creating something and hoping people will buy it. You basically, you're listening to your market and you've got your ear to the market all the time. So that's, again, another important lesson for someone thinking about starting their business or someone who's just started and thinking, where am I missing somewhere, I think that's really important.
Offer a personal service. Show your customers that they're important to you and that they mean something and that they're not just, dollar signs. They're not just money, turnover revenue. You want to say, they want to say, oh, look, she went above and beyond. She drove the costumes out to my studio because I was stressed because it was near the concert and, I was supposed to come and pick them up from her place, but I didn't, she offered to drop them, to me. So it saved me an hour travel time when I'm, concert season. Studio owners are beside themselves, So do some stuff. Offer them things that they don't know you've got. Like I've got so many costumes that people wouldn't have a clue what I've got.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you a funny little story. When I went to Bangkok the first time and I met this supplier who is still she's just, the two of them are just beautiful. Love them. Anyway, I went there on my own and I met these ladies just by chance and I ordered a couple of costumes and off I go. And then I get my big brainwave that I'm going to take the studio owners over and I have my 6 customers, but they've moved from in this little alleyway tunnel thing in the market.
Yes.
And I go and I've got all my ladies. I'm going, come on, ladies, here. You won't believe what you're going to see next and all this. And we walk in and it's empty. There's a couple of feral cats. And the ladies, my customers are going, oh. And that could have been absolute disaster. But Pay, who is one of my suppliers, she recognised me from the year before.
Right.
Amazing. And she said, hello, you come back to Bangkok? And I said, yes, hello. And I'm like to myself, who the hell are you? But anyway, who cares? And she says, oh, you look for my sister's shop? And I said, Yes, of course. Yes, yes. And she said, we've moved across the road. I'm like, oh, thank God for that. Ladies, now we just want to show you where we first used, we first went, and now we're going to the main thing. And I followed there with the ladies across the road, dodging traffic and buses and tuk-tuks and everything. We get inside, and it's this beautiful, I'm not going to say where it is because everyone will go there and I'll lose my on. But, it's a air-conditioned mall. It's got the elevators and the escalators and every other Vader, and more sequins and feathers than you can poke a stick at. And the ladies were beside themselves, and I was like, that could have gone really, really, really wrong. Anyway, so they're just beautiful. Yeah.
So this is the first trip where they got value for money.
Yes, and then they told other studio owners, I've just been on this trip. We went to Bangkok, and with this person called Suzi, and she's on. You can find her. She's always on the troops page.
Let's think about the next 5 to 10 years. What goals do you have for the business, like today?
If I'm perfectly honest, what goals I have for the business is me sitting on a beach in Bali or Thailand with my laptop, working from there. That would be my goal, to be able to just have an ace life like that, but still work, still be able to do what I'm doing.
Can I jump in on that then? Because that's one thing. Not entirely sure whether you and I have had this conversation just yet, but I often talk about that, doing what you want,
yes,
you want with the people you want. I know we've spoken about that part of it, but
yeah, definitely,
that rolls into, and it's interesting because this year particularly, so 2025, I have noticed a lot of my clients having exactly that conversation that you've just raised about, I want to live where I want to live, and it might not be permanently. I might spend 3 months here and 3 months there, and then back in Melbourne or whatever it might be.
Right,
and that's interesting because that seems to be increasingly the trend of. I know my clients, and I'm sure it's not restricted to just my clients. That a thing. So that's clearly a goal of yours.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I spend a few nights a week in Torquay, and so I already know I can do that because
it might work almost. Yeah.
Yeah, I can work remotely. I just need a laptop and a phone and internet, and I probably couldn't go to Bhutan or something and do it from there, but I don't think they have internet there, but I can definitely do it from Canada, or I can do it from wherever.
Yeah.
So, moving up, and a couple of months ago, I went to New Zealand. So this is another way I've evolved because I was sort of a bit stuck. It was ridiculous, actually. And I was like, oh, yeah, New Zealand, whatever. And it was actually very small-minded and silly because I went to New Zealand and did some showcases at a few beautiful studios there. Thank you to those studios. I loved being there, and they were fabulous. And beautiful people. They've got nothing in New Zealand costume-wise. It's very, very limited, much more limited than Australia, for sure. Yeah, moving forward, I will definitely be gaining a better connection with New Zealand and going back. I'll go back again. This time I was there for 4 nights. It wasn't enough. It was rushed. I went to a couple of different cities, and I would do things a bit more streamlined next time and spend more time there.
Well, I remember you. Can I just on this for a little bit, because I remember when you spoke to me about doing that trip, and I think there's a lesson in what you've just said as well, though, because what you did was you limited your risk and exposure by making it a short trip. So you tested the waters without exposing yourself to some massive cost, right? So you still, and back to learning. You learned from 4 days. Well, okay, now I know what there's a market. That's the first thing, I guess. And then the second thing is, well, now I know what to do next time.
Yeah. It was well worth going. Like, for the airfare and accommodation that you pay for and food and whatever, like, it was definitely worth going. I've already got orders from, a few New Zealand studios. And so, yeah, but again, it was previously, I cut myself short in exposure because I was like, I went to London and I exhibited at Move It Dance Expo in London a few years ago. I got a bit of business from there. I got a UK studio owner came to Bangkok with me a couple of years ago from that. So I did get stuff out of that. But I've actually got more out of New Zealand.
Yeah.
In the last couple of months, really, than what I got from that. But, the UK's got they've got bigger, longer tentacles around and more stuff. New Zealand's little, it's an island, it's, not as much stuff coming in. So
yeah, absolutely. No, that's really, really interesting. What would you say to a person? It doesn't matter what industry, but small business though. Let's keep it as a small business sort of.
Yeah.
What's the number one thing you would tell somebody who's potentially listening and saying, "Oh, I think I want to start this business"? Like, have you got a number one or two, if you need it, key learning that you would say, make sure you do this before you start?
Love it.
Yep.
Love it. Know what you're doing and love it. Don't just start a lawn mowing business if you're me. Like I don't want to have a lawn mowing business or I don't know, I'm thinking of something else. I don't know.
Window cleaning, whatever. Yeah.
Window cleaning. I don't want to be a window cleaner. I don't know how to do it. I don't care less about it. It's, so I'm gonna project that in my business. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. And so you've got to know and love what you're trying to do and believe in your capabilities to do it.
Do you think, so I ask everyone this question, do you think entrepreneurship is for everyone?
No. Imagine if you're a meek, mild, introvert, shy, a few people have actually just come into my head then. I'm like, they couldn't do that. They wouldn't have the confidence. They wouldn't have sadly, the self-esteem to be able to say, oh, I can do this and achieve that. And some people, I almost use the word institutionalized, that some people can't think for themselves. They're very good. They can't. They're very good. Well, that's what institutionalized is. You're told, get up at 6 o'clock, make your bed, have breakfast, whatever. And then you suddenly you're told, okay, think for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I can't now. You've told me what to do for 20 years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And some people are fabulous at taking instruction, and some people are fabulous and better at giving instruction. So, and just know who you are.
So I think it's fair to say, it's okay which one you are, but
of course it's all right.
But know who you are.
Yeah, but know who you are.
Yeah.
I know someone who just likes to go to work every day, do what they've got to do, not do what they've got to do. They like it, they're good at it, they're passionate, they're not late, they don't take sickie, they don't treat it like it's whatever. It's a proper, good, fabulous job, but they've got their timetable and their roster, or not the timetable, their roster. They know how much money they're going to earn every week, and they just routine, but someone's telling them what to do.
Yep, that suits them. Yeah.
And that suits them.
Yeah.
That wouldn't suit me because I like to, this morning I've gone to the gym, I've gone to the supermarket, I've made a meal and done a couple of orders, had a shower, washed my hair. And here we are. I'd be sitting in an office 9 till 5 with someone saying, do this and do that. And
no, and I think that's common. I think entrepreneurial types do because it's not easy being an entrepreneur, but I think one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur is that you do feel that you have control over
Yeah.
the way you operate your day and the way you operate your week and year and so on and so forth. So I
That's
think,
right. Yeah.
what about if you think back on dance station costumes, what's one of your proudest achievements?
Oh, Bangkok, hands down.
Okay.
100%. Other people have sold costumes and are still selling costumes, but I'm the first person in the world that has taken studio owners to Bangkok. And this, I might get a bit teary, but, and this isn't me being up my fells, but I've changed the lives of so many of my Thai suppliers that were working, as I said, in these little, in little alleyways and whatever. Now I've taken over 850, 900 studio owners to Bangkok over the last 15, now almost 16 years. And, some studios they're spending 80, 100 grand on costumes. Originally, my Thai suppliers they were making costumes for a few Australian studios. Like there was a few that knew about them, not a huge amount. And for the ladyboys, like they start off making these stunning costumes for the ladyboys in Thailand.
Yeah.
It's a huge industry there.
Yeah.
And so I'm taking these people and taking these people and taking these people, and they've got order after order after order. Like it's and like my courier, who I absolutely love, he's hilarious. He calls me Big Boss. He'll ring me up, Big Boss, and I'll say, "Can you please go down to wherever and pick up this?" And he'll go, "Big Boss for you. Anything, Big Boss." And he's beautiful. I know his family. I was in Hong Kong a couple of years ago. He sends me a message. "Big Boss, I saw you take a photo and there was some little doll thing or something. I don't know, I don't know what it was." And it was in the photo, and he sends me the photo. "Please, can you buy for my daughter? She loves this. And if I get it online, too expensive, Big Boss." So I bought him the bloody doll, whatever it was, for his daughter, and things like that. We have beautiful relationships there. I consider them my family. I speak to these, my courier and supplier more than I speak to my family. It's without a doubt.
Yeah.
And so it's very rewarding, and it has. So one of the suppliers, they sent she sent her nephew. It's very family oriented. She sent her nephew. I met her nephew when I went maybe 14 years ago, and he was this little boy. He could speak very limited English, which is fair enough because he's Thai, and they sent him off when he was about 17 to Bond University and in Brizzy. And he came back. I was watching all unfold over the years, and then he graduated from university, and the family came over to the graduation, and I was back in Bangkok. So this was about a year or so ago, and this big burly Thai bloke comes in and he says, "Suzi, how are you, mate?" And I'm like, "Hi." And they go, "Suzi, this is cool. It's cool." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So he's this little Thai boy who couldn't speak a word of English to this big man who's had the same Australian accent as me. It's ridiculous. And most beautiful boy. But he's done this university degree. And they said to me, "We could not have afforded, if we didn't know you and you didn't bring us business, we could never have sent him to do that business course."
Yeah.
But now he's come back to Bangkok.
Yeah.
And he's giving them all this, he's probably running the business now, the background and whatever.
Yeah.
And so things like that, I'm extremely proud of that. That's, that I've got no particular business background. I've got some grit and get up and go, and I had a good dance background. And I was willing to learn and not be arrogant about it. So, and yeah, I love it.
Good on you, Suzi. Well, It's been a great conversation. So I'm going to say Susan Jane Wright.
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for making the time for me today. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I'm sure that there's a heap of lessons in what you've just spoken about with us for anyone who's out there listening and thinking about starting a business or already just on their journey. So I thank you very much for your time.
And I thank you very much for your time and your wealth of knowledge too. I appreciate it. Mwah. See you, darling. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
You too.
See ya.
And that's all for this episode of Origin to Ambition. Thanks for tuning in. To make sure you don't miss our next conversation, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen in. For more information, you can visit us at dominiumcapital.com.au, and we'll see you next time.